All right, welcome back. We're going to now take our DXF files we just created and open them in Inkscape. To do that, go ahead and close out Fusion 360. Ooh, I'm going to hit save for sure. And then from there, we're looking for Inkscape. So for me, I have mine on my bar here, but you're going to come down here to the search field and you're going to type in INKS, and that's going to open up Inkscape. Just be careful you do INK. You might get Ink View first. You don't want Ink View, you want Inkscape. So INKS should get you there. It looks like a little mountain with ink pouring out of it. Once that opens up, we'll need to set up Inkscape first. There we go. First thing we're going to do is go to File and then Document Properties. It's going to bring up a menu that looks something like this. Yours may look a little different than mine, but it's very similar. We're going to change the units here to centimeters. We're going to change the width to 60. And what we're doing is we're making the page size in Inkscape the size of a laser cutter bed. So it's 60 centimeters wide, 30 centimeters high. Tab over to the next one, 30, and then hit enter, and we're good. So that's the right size. And then we're going to just do some stuff. So to zoom out in Inkscape, you have to hold down the control key while rolling the mouse wheel. So try that real quick. So zoom out a bunch. You can zoom way out. You can zoom way in. And it zooms into whatever you're pointing at. So if I'm pointing at the middle of the sheet, it'll zoom me in there. If I'm pointing over here, it's going to zoom me in over there. So you can zoom in and out to find stuff. To move it left and right, up and down, you're going to push the mouse wheel straight down like a button, and you're going to just drag it around the screen. Awesome. Now, one other thing you might do is when you have the control pushed down and you push the mouse wheel down, this rotates the canvas, which becomes a nightmare to do. If you get this, if you make this do this mistakenly, you need to undo it. To undo it, in the lower right-hand corner here is a little angle measurement. And that's the rotation of the canvas. Just turn that back to 0, hit enter, and it'll go back to level for you. You do not want to be worked in the tipped canvas view. It gets very confusing very fast. All right, so that's the basics of Inkscape. We've set the document up. Now we're going to import our DXF. So go File, Import, and we're going to find where we save that. For you, it should be on the USB drive. For me, it's going to be inside of my Google Drive stuff. So my drive, engineering, Fusion 360. This is the tech deck, the mini ramp, DXF files. And you can see why I start keeping track of. I have so many folders so that I can keep track of stuff. So I'm going to click on the first layer. I'm going to remember this number, 56201. In fact, I'm going to write it down. 56.201, and I'm going to say open, and I'm going to just say read from file is fine, and we'll see how it comes in, and click OK. Now when mine comes in, it always comes in huge, but I've been noticing that sometimes your files actually come in super tiny. So if yours came in huge like mine, because this is 60 centimeters and this is way bigger than that, you're fine to do what I'm doing. If yours came in smaller than the page, like a little one, you're going to have to delete it and do it over again. So let me show you how you would do that. You would just, if you haven't clicked on it, you would click on it, you would delete it, and you're going to come back up here and do File, Import again. And you're going to choose your layer 1, except this time you're going to use manual scale, and you're going to do a manual scale factor of 10. Now you only do this if your file came in small. You can't bring it in small, otherwise it loses data, and when you make it bigger, nothing will fit together. So if it came in big, really big, don't worry about it, leave it really big. If it came in really small, you need to do this, which is make it 10 times bigger when you come in. I'm going to do it to mine because it won't hurt anything to do this. I'm going to click OK. And, oh, it came in much more reasonably sized. Cool beans. Maybe we should just do that. I'll look into it. I don't know if we should do it or not. So at this point, you should have something-ish like this. And then we're going to actually scale it to the perfect size here. And we're going to take this and we're going to say, hey, this should be this height. Well, before we do that, we need to lock the height and width. So this little lock symbol between the width and the height at the top of the screen here. This means that when you make the height bigger, the width gets bigger with it. Otherwise, you'll just stretch the height and nothing will fit because you'll just like warp it and make it crazy. So now I'm going to do mine, which is 56.201, so 56.201. Oops, except it says millimeters here, so I want to change this actually. I'm going to undo that, so Control Z, change this millimeters to centimeters. And now I'm going to do it as 56.201. Yes, enter. And now it's already changed my width to be the right width. I don't even have to know that number. I just need to know one of those two numbers, and everything is good. And that's why we needed that clean top and bottom, because we needed to be able to have, notice how the top of the drawing is right there and the bottom's with that line. So that's why we needed that clean top and bottom. All right, so next thing we need to do is we need to color this. So the laser will cut anything that's red. It'll cut through the wood. Anything that's black, it's going to engrave. And blue and green and other colors can mean other things. But for us right now, we're just going to do red and black. To do that, we're going to come over here to Object. And we're going to do Fill and Stroke. That'll open the Fill and Stroke menu. The stroke is the line that goes around. So like a paintbrush stroke is the line around the object. The fill is the space inside of it. So for example, if I turn the fill on to black, then you can see it just filled everything in black. We do not want to fill at all, so turn the fill off. Go to the stroke paint. This one has got to be red. So I'm going to grab the red and drag it all the way here. The only red the laser will cut is 255.00. If you have this set to 254, it does not look different, but the laser will say that is not the right red. I'm not cutting that. It'll just ignore it. So make sure it's 255, not just close to it. Next thing we do is increase the stroke style. We're going to increase the width to about 0.5. This way is just a little easier to see. How wide the line is doesn't affect anything. If you make the line like 3 centimeters wide, the laser is going to cut right down the middle of that 3 centimeter wide line. It's not going to cut the whole thing up. So it just takes one cut for a red line. Great, so that's it. That's our pieces. We just need to create these pieces. Oh no, there's another layer. Let's get the other layer first. So File, Import, Layer 2, and manual scaling. I'm going to leave it as 10 and just see what happens. I'm going to click OK. It comes in pretty reasonable actually, and I needed that number. So let me go do it one more time. File, Import. I need 27547. So that's the number I needed. And so I'm going to do this one to 27547. Whoops, so I need decimal point 54547. Enter, and that's all good. And now I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Stroke paint, turn it all red, which it already was good, and stroke style of 0.5. Awesome. Now I just need to start positioning things onto the cut bed to try and use the plywood as reasonably as possible. So that one fits nicely on there. Can I get, whoops. Oh, now this one's all in one big piece. So first I need to actually ungroup all of this. So Control-Shift-G will ungroup. I'm just going to keep pushing G until the bottom here it says no groups to ungroup. I'm going to say, okay, fantastic. Now these pieces are individual pieces. But notice this piece is, the little holes in it are also not with the other sides anymore. So I'm going to Control-Z that move. And I'm going to find all my pieces that have internal parts to them. And I'm going to drag a box around them and their parts. And then I'm going to do Control-G to regroup them. So there's that part. Good. This one's going to need it as well because I see those 3 little holes right there. And I'm going to say Control-G as well. Just be careful not to grab anything too much from the, anything from the other boxes when you do this. Control-G, that one, and then regroup that one. Now the way the grouping works is in order to select something, you have to select all of it. So if I grab, whoops, if I start my box way up here, I haven't grabbed the entire thing on the top, so it won't grab anything unless you grab everything, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. If not, no big deal. So this is the back piece, and I gotta remember that the plywood's gonna run diagonal, or side, like the grain's gonna run sideways in it. So on my outside pieces, I'm gonna be thoughtful about that. So the outside pieces. Here, these two that are opposite each other, those are your two outside pieces. The rest of them that are this way are your inside pieces. So you can, these inside pieces doesn't matter which direction they go. So I'm gonna actually pop one in here. And then I'm gonna see if I can flip this one around like this and stick it next to it in here. And notice how it's being really aggressive about snapping this stuff, like grab something. I hate this. One of the things I hate the most about this program is the snap, but you can change it. So I'm gonna go to File, Document Properties, the Snap tab at the top. And I'm gonna turn these snap numbers really low so they don't snap so aggressively. And now when I come back here, now I can move it really close without it snapping. Okay, and that looks, I'm gonna zoom in. So I'm gonna hold down Control, roll the mouse wheel, and zoom in real quick just to line things up. I can also use the mouse wheel or the arrow keys as well to move things around small amounts. Now this is my top deck, and I want my top deck, I think, to have the grain going long way down it. So I want it to go on like this. I mean, I could do this and pop my top deck on here, but then the grain of the plywood is going to be running across the front, like front to back. I don't think that's going to look very nice, and it's going to be a weaker piece if I do it that way. So I'm going to hold off onto the next piece of plywood for that one. I'm going to see maybe if I can squeeze on one more of these. And there's no hope. Like, I want to have it on this thing by like about this much-ish. I want a little play there because not each piece of plywood is the exact right length. So right now, that's all I can get on here. That's the first layer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to make a second sheet of plywood. So I'm just going to highlight everything, move it off to the side, move this off to the side. I'm going to grab all of this and I'm going to Control Exit. That cuts it. It doesn't delete it, it just cuts it, puts it on the clipboard. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say File, Save As. And you're going to save this to the E drive, the flash drive on your computer. And I am not in the right place. I need to be here. And then Inkscape Park. Come on. Mini ramp. And here I'm going to make a new folder. Again, I like to keep myself really organized. I'm going to call this cut lines because what we're generating are the actual cut lines for the laser. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to say this is mini ramp. Put your name in here as well because this is the file you're going to be using on the shared computer so everybody knows it's yours. Mini ramp, whatever, like Josh or Hazar or whatever you want to put in. And then this is going to be page 1 of, I think we can get there in 4 pages. So I'm going to say 1 of 4. We can come back and change this if we need to. I like to put the page 1 of 4 in. That way I know if I'm missing a page when I'm going to cut something, I know how many pages I should have. I'm going to click Save. Now this is page 1. Right away I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to call this one, this file is going to now be page 2 of 4. I'm going to hit Save. And now I'm going to delete these, anything on there I've already used, I'm going to delete those, and I'm going to do Control V and bring up the other ones that I haven't placed yet. Now these two I'm going to place last because these are the ones I'm going to decorate. So let's see if I can get this one. Oh, and this one is actually, this one's flexible plywood. So I'm going to hold off on that one to last actually. It's going to be all by itself. And then let's see. Yep, that piece will go there. That's great. And then this is the back side. Oh, it is almost, let me see if I can squeeze it on there. Let's see if we can get it to squeeze. This might work. Who knows? Let's find out. So that's about as close as I want to get to the edge. And then, oh, you know what? If I move it down a little bit, I can squeeze this tab inside of that tab. That'll work just like that. It's close, but that'll work. Let's see if I can do the same thing with, is this one of the weird ones? Yeah, so I'm going to rotate this one around and see if I can't squeeze it on there as well. Whoops. I think I can. I think if I bring this one down a little bit. And now I'm using the arrow keys because I'm just doing some fine motion here. I want to bring it down. Yeah, that should cut nicely. So those are my last of my inside pieces. I still need to use one more piece of plywood for these two pieces and this one, and then one more for this one. So I still need 2 more pieces of plywood. I'm going to come here. I'm going to Control X. That cuts them. It doesn't delete them. It just cuts them. And then I'm going to do File, Save. And that saves page 2, just like this. And I'm going to do File, Save As. And I'm going to call this one page 3. And I'm going to click Save. Everything that's there right now, I already have it. So that's on page 2, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to do Control V, and now I'm going to place the last things in here. So this one I'm going to actually rotate this way and put it in here. And this one I'm going to rotate once as well. I'm going to have both of these be flat right now because what I want to do is I want to decorate these two and this top deck. And you could decorate the back as well. So once we go through the decoration, you want to open back up that page 2 of 4. You could add some decorations to the back as well. So let's talk about decorations. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the internet and find some cool things to do. So for me, I'm going to do an image search for, I don't know. I think octopuses look cool. So octopuses. It should be octopi. I don't know. Octopus is fine. I'll do singular. And then I'm going to do images. And I'm actually going to do, because all of these images would be really hard for laser to cut. You can notice that it wouldn't be able to do blue and black and orange, so it wouldn't look good. But I can do line drawing. So if I add like line art or even tattoos, anything like that, or sketch, anything that's going to give me kind of a black and white sketchy looking thing is going to look wicked cool. So like this one looks pretty neat. I like that one a lot. This one looks cool. The laser will do well with all of those. This one looks cool too, but notice that all the like real stuff beside it, we don't want that. We want something that's just like kind of super fake-ish looking, or us drawing on a piece of paper kind of a thing. This one has a clear background, so that one would be pretty cool, but I don't like the way it looks. So I'm just going to grab one. I think I like this one up here at the top pretty. I like this one. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to right-click and do Copy Image. I'm going to bring it right back over into Inkscape. I'm going to paste the image right in just like this. Now, I'm not going to resize it because right now it's what's called a raster image. It's like individual pixels. And when you resize it, it deletes information and messes stuff up. We need to convert this over into what's called a vector image, which means all the lines and stuff are drawn with mathematics, so that they can scale up and scale down without losing or messing up anything. They will never look pixelated. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to actually zoom in on this octopus, and notice how it starts getting blurry. That's because there's individual pixels in here, and they're like little squares of color. And from a distance, kind of like a newspaper. From a distance, a newspaper looks fantastic. If you get up really close to a newspaper, it's like a bunch of little dots for images. So we're going to undo this dottiness. You can see all these weird little dots around in here. And we're going to turn this into something that's called a vector, and I'll show you what that it looks like. So to do this, we're going to go to Path, and we're going to do what's called Trace Bitmap. So I'm going to go up here to Path and do Trace Bitmap. I'm going to click on the object that I want to do, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do a brightness threshold. What this means is anything above a certain brightness, it's going to turn white. Anything below that brightness, it's going to turn black, or the other way around, I forget. But anything over a certain threshold, like if it's a light gray, the light gray will be turned to white. If the gray is darker than the threshold, it will be turned from gray to completely black. So you get 2 options here, black and white. And this works great for our laser because our laser is either on or off. So it's a kind of a binary thing. So let's do a really low threshold. Let's set it down to something like, I don't know, 0.2. And then we're going to do an update. Now show the image. Notice how the image is really sketchy. What we've said is hey, only take the absolute darkest colors and make them black. Anything below that, make it white. So if I lower this even more and say, I want to say 0.05, and I do an apply here, you can see now only the almost black lines are the ones that are going to be kept. Everything else turns to white. So that obviously looks terrible. So I'm going to take this up. Let's do a really high number of 0.9. And I'm going to apply that. Oh, I don't want to apply. Oops. I want to update. Sorry. Hello, friend. Ah, that's the problem. Delete. Okay. So when I did the apply, it actually drew it on there. And then I wasn't clicking the right thing. Update. So now you can see I got this really clean picture now. And that's pretty nice because this is like a really hard white and black already. You get a really nice image from it. So I'm going to hit apply on this one. It's going to add it to here. Notice how it just changed color a little bit, and I can drag it off. This is the SVG. So now notice when I zoom in on this, it stays perfectly crisp all the way in. There's no like blurriness at all. It can expand and contract forever. So once I get something that looks good, I'm just going to delete the old one. Play with those brightness cutoffs until you get something that looks really sharp. It takes a little bit of time. I'm going to grab the corner here, shrink it down so it fits on my. Yeah, that's gonna look pretty wicked. I like that. I'm a fan. I am a fan. I'm going to zoom in so I can see it a little better. Yeah, that's perfect. Then I'm going to come back over here and maybe I'm going to say like, I don't know, Vans logo. Image search. I'm looking for something that's going to come in nice and clean. Ooh, I like the Vans off the wall. I'm just going to steal this. I'm going to copy an image. I'm going to take it over into Inkscape. I'm going to do the exact same process. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to run a quick path, trace bitmap. I'm going to update it, and that's what I'm going to get right away. I'm going to say, hey, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and apply it. I can move this out over here, and I can say, hey, that looks pretty good. Like, notice how the R doesn't look quite as good because it came over in this kind of weird technique of turning it into mathematics, and it wasn't able to turn this. Whoa, I just rotated my angle. It wasn't able to turn this blurry R. It didn't know exactly how to turn it into a really good R. Awesome. So this is the old one. I'm going to delete it. I'm happy with this one. And I'm going to add this one right there. And then, yeah, I like that. And then one more, I'm going to just go grab one more. We'll do the process one more time so you can see it. And this time I'm just going to do, I don't know, a skater logo and see if I can find something that looks cool. Skater die 1995. Tough guy. Let's see. What are we going to grab? Let's grab something where you can see the cutoff a little better. I'm going to do, how about this charcoal drawing? These are another way to do it. Like charcoal gives you all these really nice grays. So I kind of dig that. What does this say? I don't know what that means. That might be some reference I don't want to put out there. So I'm going to hold off on that one. And yeah, let's grab. Okay, some of these are pretty cool. I'm going to grab this one. Right click, copy image, and I'm going to paste this image in. Again, I'm going to use this trace bitmap tool. I'm going to do update, and it'll update on this one. And this time, it's not going to look very good to have all this really darkness. I want to minimize this out a little bit. I'm going to do 0.65. And then I'm going to hit over here, update, and see what that looks like. I'm kind of digging that. I don't know. Let me go even higher, actually, 0.9. Let's see what that. Let's do 0.99. Update. Ooh, see now that doesn't look very good. Too much of the gray sort of detail is coming through as black now. So this is, you just got to play with it. I think 0.75 might be good. Update that. Let me apply this and then just take a look. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know if I like the jaws as much here. Like here, there's a little more detail in there. They turn more black here. So let me come down. I'm just going to do down to 6.5. So this is what I do. I just sit and play for a little while and try and figure out what I like. I know this video is going a little long, but that's okay. Apply. And now I'm going to, whoops. So before I can do anything, I have to click back on the thing I'm going to work on. And then I'm going to apply this one. And I can put them side by side and just compare, like, how does this one look compared to this new one? And you might say, man, they look pretty similar, but I actually like in here the sort of thinner jaw in here. I'm going to do one more. So this one I'm going to rule out. And then this one I'm going to take it down to 5.5. And I'm going to hit back to my original, click on my original image, hit apply. It's going to overlay that. And now here. This one's for me the winner. So I'm going to delete these other two and call it good. And if I had more time, I would just keep playing with it until I found something I really liked. And I'm going to center this one. Yeah, that would look pretty cool. I'm going to center this one right on this top. You know, actually, I may change that. I'm going to put this one over here. And I'm going to put this kind of cooler one on the side. Brilliant. Okay. Now, to save time on the laser, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to group these first. Control G, because I need to be able to rotate them and move them around some. So this one, well, these aren't going to like, these are not going to sit well together. Yeah, they're not going to sit well together at all. Because they're reverses of each other, they're not going to sit inside of each other like the other ones did, which is kind of a bummer. We have to just waste some plywood, I think. So I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to put this one about down here like this, and maybe try to put this one up in here like this. And I'm going to move this one down to sort of match, to fit. Okay, so to save time on the laser, what I want to do is make sure that as many of my patterns as I can, because it's going to go across and zap all of this. Then I'll move down and zap all of this. And then it will go on this right about here. It'll start going all the way over here, back and forth, zapping both at the same time. So what I want to do is get my images as far over to the side as I can and keep them from overlapping each other vertically if I can. So I might even say, you know what, I'm going to push this up to about there, giving myself a little space at the top and bottom. And then I'm going to push this one up as far over and as high as I can. So the laser won't do these two images because it'll go over here and go back and forth really fast, back and forth really fast, back and forth really fast. If I were to do this, let's say I were to put this image way over here like this would take forever to cut because every time the laser would go all the way across, all the way back, all the way across, all the way back. And it's really slow to do that. Putting it here makes it a lot faster because now it can just zip across this one little part without wasting all the time in between. All right, hopefully that made sense. Maybe it didn't. If not, that's okay. And this last piece, I'm going to control exit, get rid of it because that's for the flexible plywood. And then I'm going to highlight all of this and I'm going to do Control Shift G. I'm going to ungroup everything once it's in its final position. I'm going to come up here and hit File, Save. And then I'm going to do File, Save As. And I'm going to make this number 4. And next to number 4, I'm going to put bendy plywood because this is what I need to make this out of. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to delete all of this stuff because it's already on page 3. Hit Control V. And then I'm going to position the plywood here. Now, this needs to curve. It needs to be turned the other way. because the flexible side and the plywood, this is like the bottom of the ramp and this ramps up, and the length of the plywood is the flexible side. So it's got to be this way, otherwise your deck won't bend. The wood won't bend well. All right, and now this one is File, Save. We have all 4 saved. Grab your thumb drive, get the video fired up for how to use the laser, and go cut this bad boy. All right, awesome. Have a good time.